Welcome back to Southern Draw, your new go-to sports podcast. We are back after a little break, but we're here with the news to get it to you. I'm joined with my co-host Rod and our other co-host Nick. How we doing, boys?
Doing good. Sorry for the delay. Definitely my fault, but the move to Texas is completed. I'm now a Texan. Me and Rod now live in the same city, so worth the delay for sure.
Oh yeah, 100% getting the boys to the greatest state in the continental United States. We're boiling alive right now here, but it's worth it.
Yeah, it's definitely a different environment. Taking fish out at 10 p.m. and it's 100 degrees outside still is crazy, but it's better than the winters I would have had to face, so I'll take it. I'll boil for a couple more months and then we'll be chilling.
Well,
Yeah.
until all your power grids go down in the winter and you
Yeah, I was gonna say I in January this year I was frozen in my house for a full week solid because the roads were too icy and because Texas doesn't salt the roads. So we get each end of the spectrum here. It's pretty great.
Well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. How have y'all been?
Pretty good. I feel out of the loop because I have seen none of the big movies that people are talking about right now. Have you all seen either of what is it, Barbie and Oppenheimer? Have we seen either of those?
I haven't seen either one yet.
Really?
Okay.
I'm not the only one.
I saw Oppenheimer. I saw it in IMAX. Which definitely I recommend if you have the ability to watch it in IMAX. I know there's like that big thing about like I swear the number changes every time when they talk about the amount of IMAX theaters in the country that have like the correct bandwidth to play it in the way that it was meant to be seen. But the theater I saw it at was one of the like 30 that claimed they had it in like the 70 millimeter. But Oppenheimer was great. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, if you can see it in IMAX, do it because just the sound and the picture is just insane. And for a movie like that, where it's built around bombs, like seeing everything in that kind of environment was worth it. But I've yet to see Barbie, although my interest has been piqued by some of the things that I've heard about it.
It's apparently like the opposite type of movie that everyone expected. I've like read basically about the entire plot, and it just sounds insane and like not a kid's movie at all.
Yeah, I heard there was like some like existential crisis shit that like came out of that movie. I don't know exactly what the plot is. I haven't read into it. I plan on watching it at some point, but definitely
Yeah,
not like a happy feel good movie.
yeah,
I
yeah.
will never watch Barbie in my life.
I'll probably watch Barbie once it comes out on like whatever streaming service they put it on. But I'm gonna go see Oppenheimer. Someone told me today that one of those 70 millimeter IMAX theaters is like in Dallas. So I might have to drive into Dallas for that.
It would be worth it. I'd go with you for sure and see it again.
Yeah.
I really loved it. And I missed the first 10 minutes of it because our tickets got it was just a shit show. I mean, me and Duffy were there and they couldn't scan our tickets. We were sitting there with a huge bag of popcorn and we had ices and candy and like ready to rock. And they couldn't scan our tickets, and then they sent us back. And I thought they weren't gonna put us in the theater because like they were like, well, there are no seats together. And I was like, damn, maybe I'm seeing Barbie tonight. But they ended up splitting us up. But we missed the first 10 minutes, so that's a reason to go and see it again.
Yeah.
The same thing when me and Elijah went to go see the new Batman. They started the movie like an hour and 20 minutes early, and like they had the wrong time on the tickets. So me and him show up and we're like, that started like pretty quick. Like I guess they didn't have that many previews. And this is out just in like the Opelika Theater out off Pepperell Parkway. And we were like, what the hell? And it was only like an hour, and we were like, the movie was that short. We were like, there was no beginning or anything. And we walked out and we like looked it up, and we were like, that the movie's supposed to be like over an hour and a half long. Like, what the hell just happened?
That's crazy. I will say if you have yet to see the movie and you're gonna go see it in IMAX, they do not show previews. So the movie starts on the time on your ticket. So prepare accordingly for that. That was kind of a
That makes
surprise.
sense, probably because it's so long to turn over to the next movie. They don't really have time,
Yeah.
especially for I guess a blockbuster like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Me and Nick will go, and the popcorn won't go to waste this time.
Yeah. But yeah, besides the big movies, how's Nashville treating you, Matt?
Good. Living with the heat in an old house. It's tough. Got a fan going on me right now, so surviving, but it's getting better. It's cooling off, and it's officially, I guess, we're in the middle of summer, but it's nice for now until it gets too rough. In the middle of August is usually always when it's almost unbearable. But survive until then.
At least you have one of the best teams in the NFL in town to look forward to.
Yeah, the best. Ryan Tannehill playing in dumpster fired Nissan Stadium.
Yeah. And you like you said, it's August, so we've officially got college football back this month.
Yes, we do. Lots going on in college football.
Yeah.
Kind of the Pac-12's having their or Big 12's having their Oppenheimer moment.
Yeah, I was gonna say
blowing up
to
the
avoid this
Pac-12.
being like a 2-hour episode, let's just hop right into it.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll start with
Go ahead, Matt.
Colorado is officially leaving the Pac-12 and returning home to the Big 12. So it's good news to see them going back to where they belong, because for me, I don't know about y'all, I never got used to seeing Colorado playing Washington at like 9:30 at night. And you're like, this team does not belong in these stadiums, even though they're trash, but still good to see them go back.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I always just associated like Colorado feels like it fits in with like Utah and like Washington in terms of like climate and like geography, I guess. So I was like, oh, they make sense. But when you look at the history of college football, like Colorado should be like in the Big 12 and playing those types of teams like that they've always played.
Definitely. And it's kind of crazy that, I know obviously Deion Sanders has like made Colorado such a spotlight, but has any more big things happened to a school in such a short amount of time than what's going on at Colorado right now?
Not that I can think of. I mean, they're like in terms of like national relevance, it's a total like 180 from what they were this time last year. I mean, they are like at the center of like a lot of the national talks around centered around college football now. And I don't think anybody would have ever said that 365 days ago. Like never.
No, absolutely not. Do you think so? The reason that Colorado decided, leaving is because of the stability that the Big 12 offers, obviously returning to the conference they were in, and just the Pac-12 being a complete shit show right now. I know like their streaming deals are in talks with Apple, and it's just a really bad situation for that conference. Do you think that they jump if Deion Sanders is not their head coach right now?
No.
I think they would, just because you bring back all the familiarity with the other universities and you bring back like traditional matchups, stuff like that. Because the schools they would still go after, I feel like Colorado would end up being one of them, because I won't be surprised if they pull one or two more from the Pac-12. So I feel like Colorado would have always been involved somehow within those schools.
Yeah, I get that. I just don't know if they I don't know if they would have enough juice to do it right now, maybe. I mean, I agree with what you're saying. Like, they definitely belong there, but it seems like Deion being there has kind of shifted the momentum into their favor to where they could make this move.
Well,
That's
I mean,
kind of my thought process
going
behind
after
it. Too.
Arizona too, so it's not like they've really.
I don't know.
Anything.
I think Deion, like in terms of like just strictly TV rights, brings in a lot of eyes and money to like viewers. I mean, that's what really this is all about for every conference realignment. It's about TV rights and how many games the networks are picking up. And a team coached by Deion Sanders, people are going to watch that just to see how he acts on the field and the type of product that what players he puts on the field,
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's kind of a little bit of both, like Matt saying, it's kind of returning to tradition, but also with Deion there, you kind of have the shift in the program, and like you said, a lot of eyeballs on Colorado. I know Dan Lanning was not very happy with Colorado's I guess moment in the spotlight. I know what did he say? What have they won in this conference to make them relevant? Essentially was really the gist of his comment.
Yeah. He was basically saying like they've had no bearing on anything in the conference in terms of like championships and like meaningful games played, which is true. I
It's
mean,
very true.
yeah, they're totally irrelevant in terms of like actually playing football on the field in the Pac-12.
I loved the comments because it's gonna spark another Dion situation where he is gonna try to clap back when in this situation there's really, I mean, I guess you got to defend your team and everything in your university, but there's nothing was wrong in what Dan Lanning said about Colorado.
Yeah,
No, I mean, can Dion do anything without making enemies?
I guess not, because it seems like anytime someone opens their mouth to say anything about him, it's negative. I haven't heard anyone say something positive about him in several months.
No,
Yeah.
he's doing something completely, or I guess he's really the first person to fully just take advantage of that year one portal where you can just bring in however many you want. And I get most of the college football coaches kind of stay on the same level where they don't want to be one of the guys to go outside the box and mess with the stability of college football. And then because once you start doing this, and if other coaches do it when they first go to a new school, you open a door of just killing rosters at a bunch of places. And kind of like we saw with Lincoln Riley, just stripped Oklahoma's roster. So if say another big coach left, let's say the Pac-12 messes up, Oregon has to stay, Dan Lanning gets another job for stability at a bigger conference, he could strip the same thing at Oregon school. And I don't know, it's just weird, like we're in the Wild West, but I feel like it's something that shouldn't be done, but you can do it, so it's not like you're doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Who do y'all think? I know rumors about Arizona. We mentioned that. Which, fun fact, Arizona, you know, they've never been in the Big 12, but they have a notoriously great Big 12, or had a notoriously great Big 12 coach in Kevin Sumlin. He coached Houston and A&M, and now officially Arizona. So he's just coaching all these teams that were not in the Big 12 and now they are. But who else do y'all think, other than Arizona, that the Big 12 could potentially add?
From the Pac-12, I mean, I feel like if you go with Arizona, you almost want to get State as well for the four corners.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
Because you bring in the territorial cup rivalry at the same time, and then Oregon and Washington are kind of too far. I mean, I guess not really anymore with the way college football is, but just for the way the Big 12 is.
Yeah.
I think Utah would be a good culture fit in the Big 12 if they could somehow figure that out.
I think so too. And it kind of makes me wonder how small the Pac-12 is going to have to, like, at what point is the tipping point where the conference is just completely like abandoned? You know, like if you have these schools jumping, you get two more, it's just like they're done.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of think the remnants of what the Pac-12 is with like 8 teams now will probably split up into the Big 10 and the Big 12.
Yeah, I hope it is Utah as one of the other ones, because then you also get the Holy War and you can try to almost put that year in, year out with BYU. But BYU, I don't think they want Utah in, kind of like A&M and Texas. But for BYU, they're kind of the more power historic program, so it'd be more like Texas blocking out A&M in that terms. But I want them. It doesn't seem like it. There's not much in rumors wise of Utah being one of the teams, but I would hope that if it does happen, if they go more past Arizona, that they do go for Utah in the Pac-12.
Lots of options. Tons of rumors too about other schools in the ACC. Nothing like concrete about that yet. And when that does kind of come up, we'll cover it. But I mean, realignment is going to continue for the next several years into the future.
It's going to be weird though when I think the Pac-12 is going to dissolve. I know people aren't saying when are we going to get to the point where you do push the panic button? I think it should already have been pushed, but they're just kind of like, no, it's good. We're chilling. We got another meeting, more media rights deals, whatever. And it just keeps getting down the line. But if you're looking for stability and the way college football is changing now, you want it ASAP. So I'm thinking about schools like, I mean, I guess you have Cal, Stanford, or Washington State. Are those going to be Mountain West schools by 2026? But you got to think for maybe Cal Stanford, if the Big Ten decides to go even further, you get the academics and you get Stanford, who's pretty good at other sports and has history in football, if they can turn it around. And obviously the AA something universities that the Big Ten accepts, they would both meet that qualification easily.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of these like that make sense, but we're going to have to wait it out and see what happens next. But it is certainly a fluid situation.
Yeah. Well, another interesting story that came across our the timeline. There's a transfer. What is he, a linebacker, correct?
Yes.
From Clemson.
Linebacker.
Yep.
Yeah, from
TJ Dudley, who's now ended up at Ole Miss. He transferred last week, I think it was, and then nothing. It was kind of quiet, but then some rumors have come out this week that he, I don't know if these are confirmed, but kind of it's one of those weird rumors where it's like no one just makes this up. It's so specific and detailed that you have to think that there's some sort of concrete factor to it. There's a report that he was dismissed or asked to transfer after allegedly taking pictures of his teammates in the locker room and selling them.
This guy's a freak.
How down bad do you have to
wrong
be
with
for
him?
money where you are exploiting your teammates in the locker room for your own financial gain? And also that's just creepy and weird.
Yeah.
I want to know who found, like, how it came to light, like who found what, or someone showed it to someone, or someone found it on their own, like on the team, or maybe they saw him taking pictures of people in the locker room, like that whole situation.
If one of his teammates found it on OnlyFans, that guy should be kicked off the team too.
That's what I was saying. I was like, imagine one of them's like on there and they see themselves and they're like, what the hell?
And like,
imagine he takes it to Dabo Sweeney and Dabo's like, why were you on there, son?
yeah.
Come sit down in my office with me, please. We need to talk.
And like, what assurances do you have to give to Lane Kiffin when you transfer in to be like, oh, sorry, my bad, I won't do that at my new school? What does that conversation look like? Obviously, Lane is someone who may be a little bit more lenient and understanding of kind of a fucked up situation if you're good at football, but it's not exactly the easiest thing to stomach as a head coach.
They put parental controls on his phone. Shut up.
Something. Yeah. He needs to give up the phone. He needs to that's the one condition, and Lane said, okay, you can transfer here, but you have to use a flip phone.
Yeah, or his like camera app is like password protected by Lane or something like that.
How would you feel if you were an Ole Miss player right now? Like, and imagine being that guy and having to go into another locker room and just get like hazed to hell for that. He'll never hear the end of that.
Like, all right, Joe, your new locker buddy's TJ Dudley. Like, oh man.
I guess it just kind of depends on how good he actually is, because if he ends up being like really good, I guess it just kind of all goes away, because people who are good at football tend to have bad things in their past kind of get forgotten. But definitely a situation to monitor going forward.
Imagine if Ole Miss is really good this year and they have game day and he's really good. Imagine the signs. That'll be great. One more point about this. If Lane Kiffin doesn't suspend him, then Jarquez Hunter needs to be immediately unsuspended if he is suspended. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, it's another fluid situation to say the least. A lot of fluids in that situation.
Very true.
Well, dealing with another suspension, you mentioned this to us, Rod. It wasn't even on my radar at all until about 30 minutes ago, but an Iowa State quarterback was suspended for gambling on Iowa State athletics. I think you know more about the situation than I do.
Yeah, so the article that I read said it was 23 or 24 different Iowa State athletic events that he placed bets on, and only one football game, though. And he did not play in that game at all. So obviously frowned upon majorly, especially in college football, to be gambling. We talked about this like a lot about the NFL because it's happened a lot throughout the summer with players getting suspended and cut for gambling. But we haven't really had. I mean, we had the one with the Alabama coach, and then a couple other guys, I think, but not much with college football. So it's be interesting. I read something that said he's being investigated by the NCAA, and then someone for fraud or something like that. Because I guess it was saying, yeah, he's defrauding people for
Yeah.
or something.
So I've got this pulled up from The Athletic, and this says, according to documents filed in Iowa District Court for Story County, Deckers, the quarterback under question is Hunter Deckers. Deckers and his parents engaged in a scheme to allow the quarterback to disguise his identity and manipulate online/mobile transactions in order to create the appearance that sports wager transactions were conducted by his mother, Jamie Deckers, on a DraftKings sportsbook platform. So I guess he was like making bets under the guise of his mom's name for Iowa State athletic events.
How can they prove that though?
I'm sure text messages and communications like that.
Oh
yeah, I'm sure they could seize his phone. There was another thing though with this that came out. He was charged today. Also, he was tampering with records related to the Iowa Criminal Division investigation. Him and a wrestler that was a Big 12 champion were both caught tampering with records related to the investigation.
What is that?
God, that's bad. This is slightly unrelated, but when I was thinking of text messages getting read, did y'all see the thing about the former Auburn cheerleader who hired a hitman to kill her husband, who was the former long snapper at Auburn?
Yes, that's crazy. She was cheating on him.
Yeah.
And she had I guess her lover, and they hired some dude to kill him. And then that guy got investigated for a burglary in the Bahamas, and they found their WhatsApp messages on that app and caught him because of that.
Which is crazy that you're planning a hit over WhatsApp. WhatsApp is really big in Europe and other countries, but if you see an American with WhatsApp on their phone, you know something's fucked up.
Yeah, 100%. There's shit going down there.
Yeah.
I saw people covering this story though, saying that the Auburn guy was like a former superstar.
Yeah,
he's a long snapper.
Hey, he's a legend.
Yeah,
he's probably selling insurance.
They said
or something.
Auburn super or standout or Auburn star, and I was like, okay, I have no clue who this guy is. So this is
100% clickbait for people to think that they're gonna know the name when they click on the story.
Yeah, I saw their picture. They posted a picture of them in the article of them tailgating. I looked at the background. It was right near where we used to tailgate too.
Yeah,
which I thought was funny.
That she was
at some point.
The place that they found the people or whatever that she was messaging. She also was following that restaurant on Instagram that was in the Bahamas or whatever.
Yeah. Wow. I went through her Instagram. Definitely a crazy woman. You can tell just based off what she posts. And
really?
You can just see it in her face, her eyes. She's got crazy eyes, and it's just insane.
How do you tell that to your kids when they get older? Your mom's in prison because she tried to kill me.
A lot of therapy. A lot of therapy.
Or when they're in middle school, make your mom jokes. Be like, well, at least this didn't happen.
Hey, they can twist it and be like, oh yeah, you're making your mom jokes. My mom will kill you. But yeah, pretty crazy. But speaking of Auburn, I know we're all very, very happy right now. So over the past, 8 days, the GOAT, Hugh Freeze, has flipped 2 5-stars, one from Georgia and one from Alabama. What do we think, boys? How are we feeling?
We're back.
We are back.
Feel good. I will say the statement 2 5-stars is a little misleading because one of them is a 4 or 5, kind of in between.
Yeah, it's just Rivals that had him as a 4. It's composite.
Well, Perry Thompson's a composite 5-star, is he not?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's a done and dusted 100% 5-star, consensus 5-star, which obviously is amazing. When's the last time Auburn had a 5-star receiver? What?
2002.
Yeah.
We were 5 years old the last time Auburn landed a 5-star.
Well, I guess there was arguments that I guess Sammy Coates technically was, but he was an athlete before. He was like QB or something in high school before we moved, and then we put him at like corner, and then ended up moving him to wide receiver.
Yeah.
But actual wide receiver, yeah, 2002. I think it was Ben Obashamu, or if that's
Ben Obamanu.
Obamanu.
Yep.
Shamu. No, it's huge.
Obamanu and his sidekick Devin Aroshimadu.
That's what I was about to say, but I was like, no, it was not Devin.
But yeah,
it's huge. I mean, there are huge recruiting wins for Auburn and Hugh Freeze. I mean, getting 2 kids from 2 rivals. Again, it's just 2 players and 2 recruits, but it's still a huge win and is a change completely in the recruiting landscape for Auburn. I mean, Auburn's just been getting dunked on by Georgia, Alabama, Clemson, even South Carolina has been pulling kids away from Auburn. Like Ole Miss too. Quinshon Judkins was a 3-star right under the nose of Auburn. So, finally
at Pike Road too.
Yeah. It's crazy. And Perry Thompson wasn't even being recruited by Brian Harsin, which is just insane.
That's the crazy part though, because Freeze, neither was DeMarcus. I mean, he got looked at once, but Freeze basically came in like 100 yards behind both coaches and ended up winning both the recruits.
So I mean, it was a running joke that Auburn was always the second school. Like we kept consistently losing out and being everyone's second pick for all these like top guys. And Freeze, he's just come in and pushed Auburn over the edge to where we are going to be able to land these types of guys now.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's been people saying, mostly Bama fans, like, oh, whatever, we're fine. But the key thing, not just them being 5-stars, but you're, like you said, you're taking away from rivals. But when schools start doing this, you're not allowing Bama to completely load fully deep in that wide receiver room and fully taking over the state. And if Auburn starts doing it and there's more, I guess, players not necessarily going to Bama, they're not fully getting that insane depth that they have, which we are kind of seeing that Georgia is starting to have now. But you're taking those players away and you're getting a player who can allow you to compete. You can't fully have the same roster as them, but you're giving players that actually give you a chance when you do play schools like that. And you stop allowing them to completely load up at these positions. So that's another small win on top of a big win of getting those players in as recruits, especially in-state. Because for Auburn, winning in-state recruiting has always led to their most successful times. I mean, even with Malzahn, we weren't flipping recruits from Bama or Georgia. We were still getting beat out under Malzahn's days, even with good classes, but we were never getting these elite players. I mean, we'd only had like 18 5-stars in our school's history, and we just got 2 in a span of 5 days last week. So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. I think the best part about it was the comments that the Thompson kid has made since committing, since flipping. And he said the reason he chose Auburn over Alabama, the primary reason is because Nick Saban is really a defensive backs coach, and Hugh Freeze is known for developing wide receivers. And this is a guy who goes to the same high school that Julio Jones went to. And obviously you have like Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Henry Ruggs, Amari Cooper, Calvin Ridley, and Auburn has Darius Slayton.
Yeah.
So that's pretty funny. He's trolling.
Those receivers are coordinator receivers.
Yeah. But everyone's taking him as like he's being serious when he says that. He's trolling. He's been trolling Alabama the whole
Bama fans are sensitive just because we finally got, whenever we get any slight win, they want to put it down because it's just makes them so mad that we can actually be happy as a fan base about something.
Yeah, they've been seething for like a week now. It's been pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take the win when we get it because, like I said, we've been getting dunked on for so long. And it's a good point you made about like their depth. It's like the big joke when an Alabama player goes down injured. Oh, well, they've just got another 5-star who's going to come right in and immediately contribute, which tends to happen. So if you can kind of put some parity into the state's recruits and split them up, then I think that's a win in general. I was very happy to see a 5-star receiver. God knows Auburn's passing game has been horrendous for, I don't even know how long.
Gary Bowden, 90s.
Yeah, before we were born.
Yeah, but the thing is, like I was saying, like with the depth thing, you also had Cristobal came in and took the number one running back out of the state for 2024 with the kid at Tuscaloosa County. So that's the thing that I'm talking about. Like Auburn gets that foot in there, and these Florida schools start getting their foot in there. They're not able to go into South Florida and get DBs and corners everywhere because what those Florida schools being good helps Auburn be better because they keep those players from going to Georgia or Bama.
Yeah, FSU is like majorly surging in recruiting right now, and that's going to affect. I mean, it's going to affect basically all the major powers in the Southeast because they are so like they're this close to being officially back. In my opinion, I'm high on them this year, but even in recruiting, like Norvell is killing it.
Yeah. And it also just like it shows that it's not a wasted effort to go into these states and try to pick targets away from the powerhouses like Georgia and Alabama. There are 5-stars who are interested in hearing what your program has to offer that's different from a Georgia or an Alabama because they go to those two schools, they know what they're going to do. They're going to sit for a year or two unless they're just, insane players, and then they'll get their moment. If they're good, they'll be in the spotlight, they'll go to the NFL, easy path. But some guys are different in today's day and age. They want to immediately come in and start. They want to show what they have. They don't want to sit. They want to be the guy for these schools who really need them. And I know that's what Perry Thompson said. He wants to, why go to a school where I'm just another wide receiver when I could be a culture change and a program changer at Auburn, which is huge.
If he lives up to the hype, he could easily be the best receiver in our history. I mean, our best receiver is Terry Beasley.
Yeah.
Like that but it's funny when schools like South Carolina got a 5-star today over Ohio State and their fans were melting down. Like those schools like that can't comprehend a kid wanting to go to another place solely on wanting to have a legacy that's not I get not tarnished, but like where you're not, like you said, just in another room of talented players. Like you can actually make a name for yourself and be remembered in a whole different light.
Yeah. Well, like for example, does anyone think Bryce Young will ever be as revered among Alabama fans as Cam Newton is among Auburn fans? I mean, no. Exactly. So that's just a case in point right there.
I'm sure Bama fans love Mac Jones more than they love Bryce Young.
Probably. Yeah, you're probably right.
I love Jacob Coker more than I love Bryce Young.
Yeah. Well, those two guys did win championships and Bryce Young didn't.
Exactly.
So, but
it doesn't hurt as well that Auburn has alignment, and especially with their NIL. I know there was Talia Tagovailoa came out and said he was offered $1.5 million by an undisclosed SEC school. I think everyone in college football knows it was Auburn.
Did you see Lane Kiffin tweeted that article like yesterday or 2 days ago?
No, I didn't.
So I'm wondering if I feel like it was us, but at the same time, with Kiffin doing something like that, it makes me feel like
it
could have been him. Because he's that kind of guy. He really doesn't care. Like he'll just troll like that.
Yeah,
they brought in everybody at QB,
and that would be sense. That 100% would be something Kiffin would think was funny. It would be like, oh, you know what we should do? We should offer Tua's brother a bunch of money to come play for us. That'd be so funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess it's just they don't have the need that we needed. Auburn's quarterback room was pretty desperate compared to Ole Miss having Jackson Dart and Walker Howard and Spencer Sanders. I don't know if the offer was before or after Walker Howard and Spencer Sanders transferred in or not.
I think it was after when the rumors started coming up. But I mean, the actual conversation or whatever, if it happened, could have been before that. But when the rumors came out, it was already after all the transfers had come into Ole Miss.
It makes me question if you're offering. I mean, like, look, Talia's not a world beater by any means. He's a good, solid quarterback, but $1.5 million for a guy like him. What do you think that these stars are actually being offered? It's kind of crazy. And what did Maryland have to offer to keep him?
Yeah,
apparently Maryland has pretty good NIL from what I was looking at their fans talking. I think their biggest alumni is the owner of Under Armour.
Yeah, they have a really big alumni base and a lot of rich alumni for sure. But it's just kind of like that's a lot of spending for a school like Maryland on one football player.
He's like their best quarterback since Boomer Esiason. I mean, he was their first quarterback to start like a full season in like 5 years. Was it last year or the year before?
He holds like every passing record at Maryland. like it yards in a season, career yards, career touchdown passes, career completion percentage. He is like Maryland's best quarterback ever. So if I was Maryland, and you're right about that, Matt, Maryland's the founder of Under Armour did go to Maryland. So if I was that guy, I'd shell out the money for him just in terms of for school history, for tradition.
That's a school too who's really going to benefit from realignment, not having to play Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan every year. That could be like a 8-9 win team. They've always had talent. They would just have 3 automatic losses on their schedule every year.
Yeah. Yep, that's true. Talking about Big Ten schools, obviously, this really weird hit piece came out about PJ Fleck, Minnesota's head coach. And basically what it said was that he has this system that he keeps track of like players who get in trouble, and they can earn like Fleck bucks, or it's like a Fleck bank. And you can get back in like the good graces of the coaches and get unsuspended by doing like community service and like meeting with him after practice, do like prayer and devotional. And then the other thing the hit piece was complaining about was that he made the players clap whenever he entered the locker room. And basically this was presented as like similar to by the student newspaper. It was presented by the student newspaper similar to what just went on at Northwestern. And it kind of tells you that like people who don't know anything about football, writing about football is just like not going to work. It never has worked, because everything that PJ Fleck did that was detailed in the piece is like the most like innocuous, like normal, like football coach things ever.
Yeah, it's like the kind of a tale of two schools journalism programs, like Northwestern's student journalism's put together information that brought down like an entire system. And then you have Minnesota, who's just like talking about normal things that happen in sports at all levels.
Yeah. Yeah, like they were calling the row the boat thing that he does, his slogan, like a cult, when it's just like a saying, and every football team has a saying.
Yeah. Also, like college football is like culty for sure. Like it's not like a bad thing.
Yeah, the whole thing's about coming together and like working as one. Like wait till they find out about like t-shirts that say team on the back.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you're not an individual anymore? Fire PJ Fleck.
Did you see the thing where they wrote, or apparently like about how he was like getting onto some players for their weight or whatever? And I was like, have you ever like paid attention to any sport? Like imagine what you would find out if you went to the Minnesota wrestling program, what they do for their weight. Like, your mind would explode.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, I get what they're trying to do, but like, it's clear this is somebody, whoever wrote the article knows nothing about
They should never be allowed to write about Minnesota football again. If I was PJ Fleck in this situation.
Yeah.
It's like they're kind of trying to ride the momentum of Northwestern. And I like a lot of the stuff I consume is good journalism. Like The Athletic has good journalism, and there's good writers out there, journalism with quotation marks. And I guess Northwestern has good student journalism because they were able to take down a whole program. But student journalism in general is just horrendous. I know Auburn has one of the worst.
Fuck the Plainsman.
The Auburn Plainsman is one of the worst publications in the United States. So I guess you got to pick your fights as a student journalist. And PJ Fleck was not the target that you thought he was going to be.
Yeah, leave my bald-headed dude alone. Like, he's not doing anything wrong.
He's literally like the best coach they've probably ever had.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was like 3 or 4 9-win seasons or above since he'd gotten there, and he has 2 back-to-back in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Shrek hazing allegations. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
It was
chill out.
Like you said, they literally just tried to ride the wave of Northwestern. Basically, they just tried to headline pull with key hot words like cultish and stuff like that to try to get people to click. And then they had former players, which are basically guys who just went to Minnesota and ended up not liking it pretty much. They talked to like this is the biggest like insult to trying to make something out of nothing. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Big nothing burger.
cheeseburgers.
Yeah,
Lots
God.
going on with cheeseburgers in college football in the last couple of years. Should we talk about the Michigan cookout?
Let's just touch on it real quick.
Yeah,
Their
real
Happy
quick.
Meals that they got.
That's even lower quality. Yeah, Michigan had this cookout for like their big recruiting weekend this past weekend, and the food they were serving was like Michelle Obama lunch meals, like worse than that, honestly. And like I said, there were no cheeseburgers. I said this to y'all. I think he's no pun intended. Jim Harbaugh has some beef with cheeseburgers. So
Yeah. I saw that like someone said that all the food that they prepared and offered was like made by like shit you could get in like stadium concessions, like chicken
yeah,
fingers and hot
It
dogs.
reminded me of that little like lunch that you would get as a kid with the little penguin on the packaging, and it was like blue.
Oh
oh
yeah.
You know what I'm
dude,
talking about?
yes,
It's like a
yeah,
frozen little meal with the magic penguin on it or
I know
whatever.
what you're talking
yeah,
about. Those would come with like those little brownies too.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I could look at all that food that they had, and I knew exactly what all of it tasted like because I've had like,
Plastic.
yeah, I've tasted like I know what those types of hot dogs taste like. Well, mostly because I used to be a fat ass, but but like those chicken tenders are like the most generic, like frozen tenders ever. Like, look up this picture, people listening. It's like so embarrassing. It's just an awful look for Michigan. But yeah, it's pretty funny.
All right, let's move on to the National Football League. One of the biggest news pieces in the past week is that Justin Herbert has agreed a new deal. I know it was kind of like between him and Burrow who was going to agree first. Justin Herbert, a 5-year, $262.5 million contract, kind of locking him down. I know y'all have mixed opinions on Justin Herbert, so let me hear it.
Matt,
I'll
you want
I'll
to
go
go?
first since
Yeah.
I'm a Herbert hater, but I don't think I think the contract is like he deserves it. Like I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I think he is. The reason I'm a hater is one because he went to Oregon and I'm the biggest Oregon hater in the world, so that just puts it in the wrong place. But he deserves this just for how he has played. But the reason I really hate him, like I was trying to say, is he's put in like the top 5 category, and I just don't think he's at that full elite level that the media tries to hype him up to. But I would say he's earned it, especially for a place like the Chargers. They really only have Phillip Rivers beforehand, but to me, he's just Phillip Rivers 2.0 throwing up garbage time stats. But I would say he's earned it, but it's a lot of money, and I get why that's why people are crazed about it. But every year we're just gonna keep seeing contracts like this, even for players who don't deserve it. Which he deserves this, but like stuff like Daniel Jones' contract blew my mind. But the money just keeps more and more keeps just coming. So these contracts are going to keep being absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
what the market's set at. I mean, you can't fault him for getting the money, and you can't fault the
No,
Chargers for giving it to him.
Yeah, I think he deserves it. I think with a quarterback, the way the nature of quarterbacks in the NFL, when you find a guy that probably can win a Super Bowl, at least has the ability to win a Super Bowl in terms of like ability to throw the football, you have to lock him down. And especially because I think Herbert is a smart guy we know he's a smart guy because of stories from college at Oregon, but he's a smart guy, good head on his shoulders, has never had any kind of controversy, plays good football. I mean, I think it's a no-brainer. I think on the Burrow side of things, I think they were going to wait. They would have waited out Herbert because there's no way they weren't going to give him more money than Herbert. But yeah, I don't know. Matt, do you think your opinion would be different if he wasn't from the same draft class as Tua?
no, it's because he went to Oregon.
Really?
Yeah, I have to hate on former Oregon players. It's just how it is because I
get
root
it.
against Oregon.
I get it.
The whole jersey, it's the whole jersey thing. It's always made me mad, and then it leaked into hating on the players.
Okay, that's respectable. I respect the uniform hatred.
Yeah, one thing I will say that I do disagree with you, Matt, on the Phillip Rivers comparison. I think Justin Herbert is head and shoulders above
Way
Phillip
better.
Rivers.
Well, he's got to do some more things to to classify him as better, in my opinion.
Understandably
Also-
so, like in terms of career, trajectory, and their playoff choke was really bad. But just the eye test, Justin Herbert has more juice than Phillip Rivers ever had.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Agreed with that. Also, very disrespectful to Dan Fouts right now to say that he's out of this conversation. All-time great quarterback hair mustache combo in NFL history. Don't disrespect him.
But
He wore cool uniforms too.
even giving Herbert this contract, like you were saying, for when you have a quarterback like this that has that Super Bowl potential, you have to lock him down because there's so much uncertainty getting quarterbacks now because there's so many quarterbacks coming into the league just for hype. But even with Herbert, he's not going to win a Super Bowl, and I'll say that now just because he plays for the Chargers.
Yeah. Chargers are notorious
one of the
for
franchises that will just not win one, and they will always find a way to ruin it for themselves, and it'll be their fault. It won't be because someone else beat them. It'll be because they lost the game.
Yeah. I do want to say one thing. It's going to be kind of crazy a year from now after Jordan Love plays pretty good this year when he gets a $270 million contract.
There's just no way he plays good.
Wait. If he plays good, he's going to get that type of contract.
If they squeeze into the playoffs, I would say,
yeah. And not even because he's like a franchise guy, because no one knows that yet. It's if like we're saying, if you have a guy that you think might be long term, you just have to give them a contract.
Yeah, I agree. This is kind of related. My train of thought went to, well, doesn't Trey Lance kind of fall in that same category if he plays well this year, which he won't? And then my brain went to Justin Fields, obviously not anytime ready for a second deal, but Justin Fields right now, in my opinion, is the most overrated quarterback in the NFL.
See,
Thank you. I'll go first. Hold on. This is okay. I get he was a good passer in college, yes, but it's a whole different ballgame now, and he doesn't have the talent at receiver, obviously. And it's a lot different when you're at Ohio State and already you're better than 99% of the teams you're going to play. In the NFL, you got to grind it out. You're playing elite athletes every week. But he literally last year, and everyone's excuse was the reason he ran so much was because of the O-line. There's plenty of clips where the O-line's completely fine, and he just bolts out of there for zero reason at all. And their only success was him running the ball.
Flip guy over here. No, so one, disrespectful to DJ Moore. DJ Moore is an elite receiver. And I think the Bears situation is just he was put in a horrible situation. And I think with what the Bears have added over the past 2 or so years, I think Justin Fields is primed to be a breakout player. He can pass. He's a good passer. It's just been an adjustment period. We can't write off these guys who were so elite in college this quickly. I mean, Trevor Lawrence sucked his rookie year, and he broke out last year. It's just give him time. He's fine.
I don't think Justin Fields is bad. I'm just saying he is the most overrated quarterback in the NFL right now.
He was like top 10 MVP odds or something. Like the hype is.
I mean, I think he's a top 20 quarterback right now, and after this year, I think he'll be top 15. But yeah, I mean, he is a little overrated. I'll give you all that.
You see lists right now with him as like a top 10 quarterback in the NFL.
No, see, that's crazy.
Which is crazy.
That's everywhere.
It's everywhere. That's what I'm getting at. I think Justin Fields is good, and I think he will develop into a good passer, and eventually he has all the potential in the world to be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. But right now, saying he is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL is crazy.
Well, yeah, I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback. I guess when you say overrated now, you just assume overrated means bad, which obviously overrated just means you could be overrated and be in the top 5. You know what I mean? If people think you're number 1. So, yeah, I agree with that. He is a little bit overrated.
Did y'all see the clip of Trey Lance from practice? It was either yesterday or today. You know, there's a normal quarterback drill where the tackling dummies are all staggered apart and you step through.
Yeah.
And these are easy throws. I did this in high school. Like, it's just like a 5-yard slant going across the field. This dude threw it like 30 yards out of bounds after it.
It was a wobbler too.
The Dolphins 49ers trade was the greatest trade in the history of the NFL.
Yeah. Did they fleece them? Yeah, Trey Lance. is probably going to be the third string quarterback for the 49ers this year.
There was a dude who tweeted under that tweet of the video of him, and he said, "I called this," and he had like his article that said, "Anyone who drafts Trey Lance should be fired as the GM." And then someone said, "This you," and it was another article he had from another year, and it was like, "Trevor Lawrence will be the biggest bust in NFL history."
Can't win them all.
That's tough look.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty crazy with all these quarterbacks. It'll be interesting to see how high the contracts go. And then you have on the
next year with Tua if he plays a full season.
Well, then you have the flip side with Mahomes. It came out this week. Mahomes was trying to go his thought process is the Brady route. He wants to make sure all his friends on the team get paid, and they keep bringing in consistent playmakers to assist him. So
that would be
I like that.
His contract was insane. However long ago that was.
Yeah.
Like half a billion or something, like $500,000.
Yeah.
500 million.
Yeah. Bless
well,
KC.
Yeah, I know Josh Allen's kind of on the same boat with taking team-friendly deals, but all these quarterback deals and the money have in turn pissed off every running back in the NFL.
Yeah, it's bad.
Team running back.
Specifically, the newest one is Jonathan Taylor, who requested a trade from the Indianapolis Colts, which pissed off Irsay. I know that he came out and said something like, it was like, if I die tomorrow, no one's gonna remember me, or something. It was some crazy shit about like the NFL being bigger than anyone. And now Jonathan Taylor, reports were saying that he had a back injury. They were gonna put him on a non-football injury list. And then he tweeted out last night, "No, my back never reported a back injury. This is fake news," and it's just a complete shit show in Indianapolis.
Yeah, it's bad.
And their backup just got hurt, Zach Moss.
Yeah, Zach Moss just got hurt he's out for the year. So
Bills legend.
Yeah.
Utah legend.
I will say there was a rumor that Jonathan Taylor wants $16 million a year, which is a lot of money for a running back. So that's a little bit ridiculous. That's probably
like top like 5 probably in terms of running back money.
But I mean, that could also be like smoke put out there by the Colts, like GM and Irsay, to kind of make him look bad. I don't know. I personally wouldn't. I mean, I really like Jonathan Taylor. I think he's a great running back. But I just wouldn't pay a running back. I mean, the Chiefs running back, they won the Super Bowl last year. He was a 6th round, or was he undrafted? He's either a 6th round or an undrafted rookie running back.
Pacheco.
Yeah.
He was a late round.
Pacheco. Yeah. And there's something like the last like 7 or 8 Super Bowl champions didn't have a 1,000-yard rusher or something like that, or rushed for under 50 yards. Their leading rusher as a running back rushed for less than 50 yards in the Super Bowl. So I don't know. I just think unless and Travis Etienne is the one that said this. He came out and said the running back market is what it is, and running backs have to diversify their game, like Alvin Kamara or like Christian McCaffrey, to get paid in this league. And I think that's right. You've got to be able to catch the ball consistently and get open consistently as a receiver to get paid as a running back.
But to counter that point, though, Austin Eckler,
that's true too.
A receiver and then the Chargers, when they tried to apparently trade him, they were wanting really high value draft picks to trade him. And then technically, you're saying he's not valuable, but then you're over here trying to get insane value for him.
Yeah,
a lot of it's contradicting itself, because like Nick Chubb's an elite running back. Yeah, I think he's the best running back in the league, and he's one-dimensional pretty much.
Yeah.
But it just depends. I think a lot of the good running backs just aren't on elite teams.
Yeah, that's true too.
Kind of the way the league is right now. Because, I mean, you could, if I was the Chiefs, like I would want Jonathan Taylor, because that opens up your game insanely.
Well, that was the rumor too. There's a report today that said that Kansas City if he was to be traded, that would be an appealing destination, because a lot of people think that he can be traded for just a 2nd round pick. And again, I'm saying the running backs aren't valuable, but I'd probably trade a 2nd round pick for Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
There's running backs that hold value, but the problem is I think a lot of their deals are just so short initially. You just have to pay them early. And it's kind of like the thing, like if they are good, then you can use the wear and tear excuse on them to not pay them. But like they have to be good to even get paid in general. So
Yeah.
like with Josh Jacobs last year was basically the entire Raiders offense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He deserves to be paid. It sounds like it's possible he's going to get traded too. There was a report about that today as well. So, I mean, and like Dalvin Cook's still good. He got cut by the Vikings, and he's probably going to sign with the Jets. But how much money are they going to give him? I mean, it's running backs are in a weird spot right now.
Yeah, look, I've had a long-standing opinion that running backs are useless in the NFL and they're a dime a dozen and don't spend money on them. Just draft a new guy every year, trade for an older pair of legs. I still think that's true. I've thought this forever, and it's really coming to fruition now. I mean, you look at the Patriots, their dynasty. What was the best running back they had on their team? They had a guy rush for 4 touchdowns in the playoffs and then cut him because he was late.
Yeah.
Like,
running backs don't really matter. I think the only running back I would spend big money on would be Christian McCaffrey because I think he's that much of a game changer in the passing game.
yeah.
I think I halfway agree. Like I'm team running back, but I halfway agree. I think there's a handful of running backs that do deserve to be paid because they do bring that much value at that position.
It's like McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, those guys.
Austin Eckler,
Eckler.
Josh Jacobs, Dalvin.
The argument
Those are
I
the
make
guys
against
on-
Derrick Henry is again the wear and tear, and the
But
dude
for
can't
him,
catch.
he's played a lot. He's played a lot.
Well,
more.
yeah, we're talking about like first contract in terms of.
Yeah,
And Derrick Henry is definitely lived up to his first contract.
definitely, 100%.
Yeah. So it's just it's a thing like that. I think it takes like, I mean, it's sad to say, but you basically have to be like a generational player at running back to get paid big money.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it is.
But also just with the offenses now, like you were saying, ETN, you just got to be a running back receiver hybrid.
Yeah,
which
pretty much.
Jahmyr Gibbs is probably going to be the perfect one just coming out of college for that.
Yeah.
You've got so many guys coming out of college every year that can do the exact same thing that most of these guys can do to a certain extent. You know, you have players who obviously are better than them, like McCaffrey, like you said, and guys who are elite. But there's so many guys every year coming out of college that can carry the ball up the middle. They can catch screen passes. They can block. Like, it's just unfortunate truth of what the state of the position is. And it doesn't help when you have a meeting with all the running backs and they talk about what they're going to do. And then Saquon Barkley folds the next day.
Well, to be fair, he did get more money. People were joking that he got an extra $2 million from the signing bonus, but also they can't all this contract stuff that they wanted to meet for. They can't even like fix that in the deal until like 2030. So they're already, regardless of what they do, the only way they can stop this from happening if they really want to get paid more money is if they're sitting on the sideline. They're like, "Hey, it's 3rd and 2, go run a dive," and they're like, "No, I'm not going in."
Yeah.
Literally just boycotting a game or not showing up. That's the only thing they can do, which won't be successful.
I don't think they can do anything.
They'll just cut them.
Yeah.
And so they're in a lose-lose situation unless you are a truly elite running back.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, well, I think it's definitely an interesting situation to monitor. I know as a Bills fan, we have not had a good running back in forever and have kind of adopted the no running back model, the same that the Chiefs have had. But
we do have a running back though. He's at quarterback.
Yeah.
Literally.
But like you mentioned, Dalvin Cook could be signing with the Jets, and there's been a lot of news with the Jets, of course, always news with the Jets, especially with Aaron Rodgers being there and the Sean Payton versus Nathaniel Hackett beef. I think what Sean Payton said, it was one of the worst coaching jobs in NFL history, and it was like a criminal coaching offense that Hackett had last year, which he's not wrong. It was horrendous. No. Anyone with a pair of eyeballs can tell you that, but Aaron Rodgers kind of clapped back with a little Will Smith moment saying, "Keep my coach's name out of your mouth." So what are y'all's thoughts on this?
I loved it. Well, one, just making fun of anything with like how he said the Jets were going to be like the Broncos last year. But I mean, he's not wrong. And he said, like, "Sorry, I thought I was still on Fox or whatever." And he was supposed to apologize. And then he didn't apologize to Hackett. But I mean, like you said, he's not wrong. He just shouldn't have said it, I guess is the way to put it. But I thought it was fantastic because Nathaniel Hackett is just Adam Gase 2.0.
Yeah.
He has a job
that's
because
true.
of a quarterback that he got lucky to be who he ended up coaching is the whole reason his career kind of vaulted.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with what Aaron Rodgers said on the flip side of that, though. I mean, I think that's a good thing to come out, even if you're like, because I know he loves Nathaniel Hackett. Like he said, probably his favorite coach he's ever had in the NFL. For what reason, I have
Probably
no
because
clue.
Nathaniel lets him be the offensive coordinator, and then he's just
Yeah.
the one who stands with the headset.
Honestly, though, that's probably the best coaching decision that Hackett could make, honestly.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is a good move for him to come out and defend him so strongly, just for like Jets team camaraderie and stuff like that, even if you're not like totally serious about it. So I like that. But I also think this is a little bit what Sean Payton says is true, but this is also him getting out in front of the fact that the Broncos are going to suck again this year, and he's deflecting any blame for his coaching job this year, which he's a good coach, right? But if they're bad, he's obviously going to get shit from the media and from fans. So he's getting out ahead of it, and he's saying, this isn't my fault. They still suck from last year. This is Nathaniel Hackett's fault.
He's playing all his cards, you know.
Yeah, it was smart. It was a smart move by him.
Yeah, I guess there's just for me right now, it's kind of at the point where there's a lot of fatigue. I know there's a lot of fatigue with Aaron Rodgers in the media last year. The Jets fatigue is already getting to me. I know I don't hate the Jets as much as Matt does, but
every day on TV. Oh, the first thing, NFL news. Aaron Rodgers is at Jets training camp. And be like, oh my God, we have to have a whole segment on this. Did you see that? He just walked out of the building.
Well, look, 2/3 of Southern Draw will be in attendance for when my New York Jets destroy the Dallas Cowboys in September. So we'll give a full recap about Aaron Rodgers' greatness and how the Jets are going to win the division after that game. Okay.
Did you see Dak Prescott's comments on he was like, if I throw a 10th interception this year, he said something or whatever. And then like yesterday in training camp, he threw like 2 really awful picks. And they were like, oh, he hasn't changed at all.
He threw a pick in double coverage to a 5-5 guy.
Yeah, I saw the same thing as you, Nick. I was gonna say I saw some guy tweet something like that. Yeah, Dak stinks, man.
Yeah, he does.
I've been a Dak hater since day one, so I'm enjoying the downfall of the offensive line carried him to his early success.
Yeah,
and
speaking of training camp and NFL quarterbacks, the guy we talked about earlier, Joe Burrow. I thought we had a devastating moment. I thought it was going to be like if for people who don't know, Joe Burrow pulled up in practice on everyone assumed it was an injury. It wasn't an injury, but a severe injury to the same leg that he tore his ACL during his rookie year on. That would have been like totally like the entertainment value for the NFL this year would have taken like a 20% hit if Joe Burrow had been seriously injured there. And thankfully he's not. It's just a calf strain, but God, I was terrified.
Yeah.
He just literally just running and then just up. And I was like, I thought it was going to be his ACL as well, just the way he stopped.
Yeah, I know it was like right after gotten out of 30 hours in the car and hearing that Joe Burrow had a non-contact injury. I was like, what the fuck is going on? But thankfully he's good. We're all Joe Burrow supporters in this podcast, I believe. So
big Joe Burrow guy. I don't like the Bengals, but I have to like the Bengals just because I like Joe Burrow.
I love Joe Burrow. I love the Bengals uniforms, so I root for the Bengals.
And Jalen Ramsey got hurt the same day too.
Yeah, Jalen Ramsey too. But they're saying he's going to be back like November-ish, so that's not terrible.
They said yesterday that he might be back actually earlier.
The
really? Earliest he could be back is like week 4 or 5 because it wasn't as bad as they thought.
Yeah, training camp injuries suck. If I was a coach, I'd be tempted to just not play my starters.
My best star players, maybe day 1 or day 2, just condition up, do run throughs, and then just straight conditioning and short practice stuff. No, like in real game situation until like late preseason.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thank God Joe Burrow's okay. Excited to see, I guess it'll be a year from now, but he's going to be in the second season of the Peyton Manning quarterback show. So that's going to be sick. He's gonna be a great guy to follow.
It's only gonna go like 3 seasons because half the league is saying no.
Yeah, yeah. No one wants to be on it. It's a
Yeah.
shame though, because it'd be cool. I don't know. I get it. I
It's
wouldn't want
just
it
a lot of
invasive.
invasive of your privacy.
Well, it
Yeah.
felt like season 1, no one really knew about that it was happening, but now that the show's out, everyone's going to be like, "Oh, these guys are being monitored," and it's kind of more of a target on them, I guess. But
Yeah.
I remember Tua denied it, and everyone was making fun of him for it. I was like, because he's a super private person. I was like, we didn't even know he was married until some pregnant woman showed up halfway through the season and walked out the stadium with him. And we were like, he has a wife.
He was. It was this time last year. He was like pissed because someone leaked that he had gotten married, and he like went off on the
someone went to his wedding or something and like recorded a video and stuff.
Yeah.
why would they?
He thought he was going to be on it.
Why would they follow Tua on that show when he can't even speak English?
Yeah, that is true.
I don't know why they lost on there. It'd just be interception highlights.
It's one of my all-time favorite Alabama message board moments was the Tua Tagovailoa language barrier.
Matt, have you seen that one before? You had to.
That's what the reference was.
Yeah, when Tua committed to Alabama, people asked. There was some guy on the Bama message board who was like, is there going to be a learning curve for him in the offense? And
because he's from Hawaii?
Yeah, because they thought he didn't speak English.
Yeah.
That's prime Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
Right there.
I'll go find that and send it to you later because that's one of Nick's right. That's one of the best like message board genius things ever.
That's incredible.
All right. Oh, let's get into this. I got a quick trivia question for y'all. You're either going to know it immediately or not. This player has set the record for longest run by a quarterback in NFL history.
Jamarcus Russell.
No.
What?
Michael Vick?
No.
Terrell Pryor.
Terrell Pryor.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, he did it when he was with the Raiders.
Yep. Terrell Pryor against the Steelers.
I knew it was Raiders. That's why I said Jamarcus Russell. I couldn't remember if it was Terrell Pryor or Jamarcus Russell.
I was thinking the Michael Vick run against the Vikings.
Yeah. This is just a quick second parter. Obviously, you all both should know this. Which running back has the longest rush in NFL history?
Derrick Henry.
Yep. Yeah. Easy.
Twice, right? He's done it twice. He has 2 99-yard touchdowns, both against the Jags, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. 2 years ago was the last one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Back when the Jags were in their complete down bad stage.
Yeah. So some light trivia today, but
that's a good one. That's a really good one.
That was a good
I feel like most people wouldn't know that. I just know that because I saw that clip like years ago on Twitter or YouTube or something.
Yeah.
That's just a me being chronically online answer.
All right, let's get into closing thoughts. Where are we at?
My closing thought, really excited to watch Hard Knocks. I know, Matt, you're not really into it, but I think it's going to be entertaining just with all the stuff going on with the Jets. I like Aaron Rodgers, obviously. I really think Sauce Gardner is a good figure for the NFL. He seems like a really cool dude. And I think it's going to be more to kind of see him. It's going to be good to see him and kind of get more press on him. I think he's a really good player, really good guy. And then it'll be cool to see like the Dalvin Cook signing and how that plays out. Because they said they had a film crew following him all day when he visited the other day. So excited for Hard Knocks because that's coming up here pretty soon.
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be interesting, especially because they said like they're not following players getting cut, which is one of my favorite parts of Hard Knocks, which is cruel, but whatever.
I get it. It's that's like a terrible moment in those guys' lives. Like some of them are funny, but then it's like it's kind of crushing their dreams.
Yeah.
You're sitting there and they got the camera and everything set up.
Yeah.
Like, get out.
Yeah, I like it when the guy's kind of like a shithead and you see him get cut. But like if he's like a good dude trying to work and like feed his family, I'm like, oh shit, that sucks.
Yeah. All right, Matt, what you got?
Well, we got good luck to Burnt Toast, who's now in our secondary. Eli Apple is now in South Beach. So we're adding our cornerback room's still fine. Obviously, it's not as good as having Jalen Ramsey. You have an elite corner like that. But my closing thought is it's nice to at least have him there, better than just some random, but Cater Kohu's still good. But it's nice to, even though I made fun of him for years, now I have to support him.
Yeah.
And can't wait for week 4 when Stephon Diggs gets like a 35-yard crosser on him.
Yeah, I was gonna say
he'll
Stephon
stand
Diggs
up
gonna
and
cook
talk
him.
shit to him after that.
Wait, Matt, so you're saying you don't want Noah Igbenogany to start?
Dude, oh my God. That's one of the biggest busts in my lifetime of Dolphins draftees. And we haven't been able to cut him because it'd be such a big money hit. So it's probably going to be next year.
It was funny when some reporter asked Mike McDaniel, he was like, "What's your plans for Apple?" And he was like, "The fruit." And he goes, "Oh, Eli Apple. Oh yeah, we signed him."
Yeah, so he's not very socially aware. He's like too smart to have those conversations, like catch up on sarcasm or jokes.
Yeah. Also, fuck Stephen A. Smith. Leave Mike McDaniel alone.
Dude, did you see that too? He was shit on him this morning because a reporter asked about Tua and like his health and stuff, and he basically just gave the spill of what he was doing to do better. And then Stephen A. Smith was like, "You shouldn't be able to talk about that. Like, it should only be Tua like talking about it. You shouldn't be allowed to do that. We don't want to hear what you have to say." I was like, "What is he supposed to do?" Like, any other coach would have been like, "Next question" or something. Yeah. He at least gave a genuine answer.
Yeah, he's an idiot. No one should listen to him. But Nick, what's your final thought?
Both of mine are soccer related. Shout out Chelsea for winning the Premier League Summer Series, the very prestigious competition that is, preseason tournament. And also Chelsea have just extended the contract of one of the best center backs in England. So they've locked him down until 2029, which is huge. I know y'all both care very much about this. But it is big.
Avid Premier League fan.
It is big to me. So shout out Levi Colwell, shout out Chelsea, and I guess shout out the women's national team because they advanced the group stage at like 4 a.m. this morning because they got lucky that Portugal hit the post. So we'll be monitoring that situation closely here at Southern Draw, the Women's World Cup and the U.S. women's national team.
Yeah, U15. That's all I have to say. U15.
Yeah. All right, Matt. Get us out of here.
All your favorite teams have blue with the Bills, Chelsea,
Blue Jays,
and Auburn. They're all blue. Yep. But yeah, thank y'all for tuning into episode 12. It was good to get back on the mics. Don't forget to give us a follow or like and subscribe if you are on Spotify or YouTube. We got written content on southerndraw.substack.com and free content as well on our socials at Southern Draw Pod, which we will be getting back into now that we're back. Thank y'all for listening. Have a great week.